What's cooking, everybody? It's Wednesday, November 25th. It's Thanksgiving Eve, and this is the Poor Couples Food Guide Deep Dish Podcast, where we do a deep dive on all your favorite foods. I'm your host, Poor Couples Food Guide Eric, aka The Goose, aka the Crimson Curry Kid, and with me, as always, is my lovely co-host, Poor Couples Food Guide Meg, aka Lay Skunk, aka the Pizza Slinging Bandit.
Howdy.
And together we are the rootinest, tootinest, poor couple foodiest pair in the Southwest. We hope you're hungry for some tasty knowledge facts, because today your main course is going to be some chili con carne. Let's get started with this week's appetizers. So, any of our game show aficionado fans out there might know that they brought back Supermarket Sweep for the first time since 2000-ish?
Yeah, early 2000s.
Yeah, and we're elated because we fucking love that show. I mean, before we even knew each other, we both grew up independently.
Yeah, watching it in the 90s and early 2000s. Like, me and my sister, our dream was always to be on Supermarket Sweep because we watched it like every day after school. I think it was on... Not UPN. I think it was on Channel 9, whatever that was. It might have been UPN.
UPN, maybe. Proto-UPN.
And then I think it moved to Lifetime.
Something like that.
Yeah, I used to watch it either by myself or with my mom, and I wanted to be on it too. What kid doesn't want to just go running through the grocery store, just like grabbing all the cool shit? Right,
it's basically like the grown-up version of the old Nickelodeon game shows. One of the prizes was
where you got the shopping spree at the toy store.
Yeah, so it was basically that, but for adults. But in the form of a competition. If for some reason you're not familiar with Supermarket Sweep, basically it's a game show where they would, the first half of the show, they would like answer questions about trivia and stuff, and instead of getting points, you built up time for your like total time for shopping later, and all that time would like culminate later on in like the big sweep. Yeah. And the big sweep, you had like whatever, like say you racked up 2.5 minutes. You had 2.5 minutes to just run around this little supermarket that they set up for this game show and just get as much shit into your cart as possible so that it would add up. And, you know, back then, like, most of the good scores were like in the thousands or something.
Yeah, low thousands.
They had like bonuses and stuff. You could get these like big inflatable things, big inflatable like
the bonuses are my favorites. I always just wanted to have the bonuses.
They would have just like a giant root beer can that was inflatable, or like they always had like a big thing of the Jolly Green Giant. They were just so random. There was something very charming about it though, because it was like really like not half-assed.
It was just,
but
I don't think kitschy, but like, I don't know.
Yeah, kitschy. It's just like really slapdash. Like it kind of feels like this friggin' podcast just like slapped together by like people who barely tangentially know what they're doing, but for a game show. But it worked and it was a lot of fun. So they brought that back. It's on ABC now.
Yeah, we were really worried because ABC has a habit of ruining the shows they bring back.
They got a bad track record because what they do is like... I think just something in like, I don't know, in showbiz now, there's just like this rule for all channels where it's like, oh, you're a game show? You need to have a $6 million budget and just be really over the top. It's got to be a freaking phenomenal, just like a spectacle. Instead of game shows back in the day were just like an audience and like some like set pieces that like moved around because everything was on like wheels back then. And like they were like, you know, chill. And they were probably like pretty low budget. Now everything has to be like big, huge effects and shit, and like celebrity cameos. So yeah, we're a little twitchy, but it's good. We like it.
It's been good. We've been enjoying it. The only thing I don't like is that instead of making it a half hour like the original was, it's still basically 2 half-hour shows, but they've mushed them together into an hour.
So each episode is a half hour, but they block it into one thing. So, but they got Leslie Jones as hosting, and at first, like, I've never really like saw much of Leslie Jones. She's just like funny black lady, and like I don't know. I never saw much of her. I know she was on Saturday Night Live, right?
Yeah.
So like I've seen some stuff, but like I was a little like I don't know. She might be a little bombastic for the show.
But like, I don't know. David Ruprecht holds a place in our heart for the original host.
He was just like if you're just lovable cousin or uncle, like your favorite uncle was hosting a show, but. Leslie Jones, she's actually really cool with it because like at first I was like I don't know, but I came around to, if anything, at the very least, like she's a lot of fun and she's very quippy, which is good, and she's got a lot of energy, but the thing that really seals it, and the reason like I get annoyed when I see people like bitching about her as the host now, it's like, oh, she's too loud, she's unfit. Apparently, like, she was just like a huge fan of the original show, and like she like fought and made all these like conversations to like make this revival happen.
Yeah, so basically it wouldn't even be back if it wasn't for her.
Yeah, so it's like, you know what, she could be the worst host on the planet for all I care. Like, it's her show.
Yeah,
like
she
brought
earned
it.
it.
She earned it. So like, whatevs.
But luckily she is a good host. It's fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I mean, I don't know, we're not getting paid by ABC or whatever, unfortunately, but like, if you know,
well, if they want
like
to have
game
us
shows,
on to be contestants.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know. Go check it out. It's on ABC on like Sunday nights, I think, like 8 or something. Or nobody watches.
We always watch it on DVR.
Yeah, nobody watches live TV anymore. Everyone just like DVRs everything. So
it's
whatever.
funny seeing the difference in totals.
Yeah. Like we said, it like winning, like back in like the 90s, the winning totals were like 1,000 or something.
Now it's like 3,000.
Yeah, 3,000, 4,000. Some people have over $5,000 in groceries.
Yay.
So yeah. Speaking of inflation in supermarkets, we also we have a few more days left before we get to do our advent calendars.
Yay.
Which, like, advent calendars back in the day, my heart goes out to all the kids and people who had advent calendars in like 1940 or something. Because back then, I'm pretty sure most advent calendars were just like these handcrafted, beautiful wooden like dioramas, and you just
It had like a button in them.
Yeah, you open a little thing, and you got like a button in if even, or it was like some of them just you opened it, and there was just like a thing inside that was fixed in there, just a little figure. Now you got advent calendars of like Barbie dolls and race cars and friggin' she got a cheese calendar. She's got an advent calendar from Aldi that is cheese. I have like some fancy chocolate truffles one.
They had a coffee one.
I really wanted the coffee one.
Of.
Some Aldi and other stores get wine calendars now for all the fucking alcoholics out there that like to pretend that they're classy because it's okay because they drink wine. And also, not for humans, but for animals like Charlie.
Yeah, they have pet advent calendars.
Yeah, that's a good development over the past 5 years. Like,
so all three of us will have our advent calendars starting on December 1st.
Yeah. So and then also on top of that, we also have this giant advent calendar that Aldi stocked. That's like it's like a craft advent calendar.
Yeah.
It's basically just like each.
It's a 12-day.
It's a 12-day one, and normally I think 12-day ones are bullshit because. Why would you want 12 days to count down Christmas? It's not like you're doing, unless it's for people who are like, no, open it on Christmas and celebrate the 12 days of Christmas.
Maybe, but
No, that's stupid. That's dumb. That's a dumb idea because the idea of an advent calendar is you are counting down the days in Advent.
Yeah, Advent is like a thing.
That's in the Christian calendar. Advent is the like countdown to Christmas. So, and then Christmas itself is its own season. So enjoy that little bit of like biblical trivia for the 3 people out there that actually care. But yeah, like it's stupid to, I don't know, it's a countdown. That's what's fun is you get a special treat every day. And then also you're 1 day closer to fucking Christmas. Christmas is awesome. Like what more could you want? Especially, I don't know, like I said, like now it's just like, especially if you get like the Hot Wheels ones or ones that have toys, because it's like, oh, you're ready for like Christmas where you can get a shit ton of toys delivered to your house. Well, every day leading up to that, you get another fucking toy. Enjoy that.
The craft one makes sense for being 12 days.
It does.
Though,
That's where I was going with
like,
that.
2 days to get the crafts done.
Yeah.
Except that origami calendar I got 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
It informed us of anything. It's that we do not do things the day they are.
Nope. It was an origami
page
a day. Yeah, which great idea in theory.
Yeah, it was fun.
I love doing origami because when I was growing up, I was a fucking weeb that was just like, I like Japan stuff. And as an adult, I am a classy, dignified adult who says I'm very into Japanese and Eastern cultures. But it didn't work.
We did like 20 maybe total of the 365 days.
Yeah, we made it to like February, and then they started piling up. Then we had just like a stack like this thick, like 2 inches thick of just paper, and we would do one occasionally, and then we ended up just recycling most of them. And now we have this table out in the hallway of our apartment building where we just have like 30 origami pieces just sitting there, and I don't know. Sometimes they get blown away or people steal them because people in our building are pricks. I don't know. But
hopefully with every other day for the craft advent calendar will actually accomplish the craft.
Yeah, especially because like the crafts, they're probably pretty simple. Like I think one of them is like one of those like plastic like stained glass window thingies. So like paint that, like find like 10 minutes. So yeah, we're real excited. Like I think everyone should be excited for Christmas this year. Like everyone knows that 2020 has been a horseshit year. So can we at least just like get together and have some good old-fashioned Christmas fun?
That said, those of you who've already had your Christmas tree and lights up for a week and a half or
Fuck
two,
you.
Yeah, that's not cool.
Get the fuck out of here. Bullshit. I know everyone is in a big rush, like, oh, we're so miserable this year. We figured it would make us happy. I got news for you. You are the people who are like, December 27th are going to have your trees out on the friggin' street and going to be taking all your decorations like, I'm fucking sick of Christmas. So, you know, you're full of shit. And without further ado, I present to you today's main course. Chili con carne is a delicious hearty stew made up of all the most southwestern flavors that exist in the culinary kingdom. Colloquially, it's usually just referred to as chili in modern times, but the phrase chili con carne is Spanish. It literally translates to chili with meat. We wanted to give you a little bit better of an explanation for that, but like more literal than chili with meat, but the word chili doesn't actually have like a translation. Like I never actually knew this, but like chili peppers, like chili is just the name of the peppers, like in old Mesoamerican languages like Aztec and Mayans and stuff. It doesn't mean anything, doesn't translate anything. It's just a chili. It'd be like if there was like a fruit named after me, like the Eric fruit. Eric doesn't mean anything. It's just a name. It's just Eric. It doesn't mean anything.
Eric does have a meaning, though.
Oh, really?
I googled it. Eric means always ruler and is Scandinavian in origin.
Cool.
In case I was wondering, my name means pearl and is Welsh in origin. So together, we shall always rule the pearls.
Yes.
Or something like that. I don't know. We're getting off topic, though, and off topic was the last episode.
That's true. Let's get back on topic, because we're going to go off topic a million times in this episode. Just like every episode. Anyway, chili is very much one of those foods where just like everyone on the face of the earth has their own way of making it. Like their own little recipe they follow with all these little opinions about what it should be and what it shouldn't be, what goes into it. Like, if you're into cooking, like even loosely, you probably have a chili recipe of your own. Your mom probably has a chili recipe of her own. Your aunt probably has one. Your uncle has one. Your aunt's secret love child that you're not supposed to tell anyone about, they have a recipe.
Part of the reason for this is because, similar to curry, there's no one exact definition of chili and how to make it. It's just a loose collection of similar ingredients and foods turned into a big bowl of foodie goodness.
So despite that, chili does tend to have a few common traits among the varieties of it. So notably, it's got to contain chili peppers or chili powder at the bare minimum. I mean, hell, it's called chili con carne. So without that, I don't know, without chili con carne without chili, it'd be like throwing a scoop of ice cream onto a plate and saying, who's ready for some apple pie a la mode? Without the pie. Next up, considering that it's chili con carne meaning meat, it also gets meat in there as well. Though you do see a lot of vegetarian chili nowadays that leaves out the meat because vegetarians just can't seem to get enough of non-vegetarian dishes for some reason, ironically. But that aside, the meat is typically ground or chopped meat, or most commonly beef, sometimes you see turkey, though technically you really could just make whatever kind of meat you want. Like, you know, the liquid stew portion, it's usually comprised of broth and juices from tomatoes, other types of vegetables and stuff that break down when they're cooked and turning it into a stew.
And beyond this, well, the sky's the limit. This is where the whole everyone's got their own recipe comes into play. Frequently, you see onions, garlic, other types of peppers, a shit ton of different spices like cumin, coriander, pepper, bay leaves, cayenne pepper, or maybe cinnamon?
Oh.
Because as we covered in the pumpkin spice episode, everybody's secret ingredient to everything ever is always cinnamon. Lots of recipes call for cheese, either added in during cooking or as a topping. Sometimes you see oddball add-ins like soy sauce, balsamic vinegar, coffee, or cocoa.
Honestly, it doesn't really matter because at the end of the day, it's a lot like curry. The whole idea behind chili is your goal is to just cook all these like different ingredients and tastes and all these awesome flavors into one unified, badass, super flavor conglomerate.
Chili peppers have their earliest origins in Mesoamerica, where early South American peoples were farming them 5,000 years ago, maybe even almost 9,000 years ago, based on some evidence. Interestingly, they're one of the oldest farmed crops in the world and were incredibly important to the cultures of early Mesoamerican civilizations, who have been farming them for almost as long as they've existed. And, contrary to a lot of the paleo diet arguments, farming has been around for a long time. It's not some weird, relatively modern invention that started some sort of doom and gloom misstep for humans like you hear in conversations about paleo.
Yeah, speaking of paleo shit, I gotta say, I'm really, really glad that, like, it seems like the paleo movement is kind of calmed down a little. Like, it seems, you still see garbage for it, but, like, it seems like it's, moving on a little bit. Like, I don't know. Can we all just, like, go back to agreeing that, like, produce and vegetables and fruits are good and that farming overall is a good thing? Like, I don't know. It takes a real special kind of ignorance to soapbox about how we should stop eating vegetables. Like, think about that one. Like, corn, it's great. Sweet potatoes, awesome. Beans, good for you. No, it's no good. It's all junk food. We shouldn't be eating those highly nutritious superfoods that contain high concentrations of vitamins and fiber. It's way better to eat large amounts of venison and beef and other red meats that raise your risk of cardiovascular disease. That's so much healthier than eating garbage like oats, and it's way better. That's how humans are supposed to live, with heart disease. In case you couldn't tell by the sarcasm, honestly, the paleo diet is pretty sus. Like, very little scientific evidence backs up any of its health claims at all. Like, okay, in general, yes, eating less processed food and less sugar is generally a good idea, and it'll benefit your health. But you don't need to buy into a stupid, like, 20-year-old fad diet and shove fistfuls of salmon into your mouth day and night to accomplish less processed food and less sugar. The idea of basing a diet off of an era which features no documentation of human diets, outside of vague archaeological guesses, the idea that diet is going to give you superpowers is, honestly, it's fucking bizarre. It's just not verified by anything. Like, it's really weird. Farming is a weird target to go after. Like, the human population is just out of control. We need more farms. We need more produce in general, not less. And for everyone who thinks, like, well, humans were never meant to farm produce, we're the only animals to ever do that. Ho-ho! Do I have bad news for you guys? Because other animals practice agriculture as well. Certain types of fish and crabs and weevils all practice basic animal kingdom forms of farming their food. And beyond that, ants, who ironically are probably like the closest animal civilization to human beings out there, they just flat out grow fungus crops in special little farms, just like humans do. Leafcutter ants, true to their name, they send workers out and they bite apart pieces of leaves, they take the leaves back to their colonies, and then they leave the chewed up leaves in like these special farm chambers, and fungi and mushrooms and stuff grow on the leaves. The ants go in, they eat all the fungus, they harvest it, which they use as food. They grow food, and then they clear it out, and then the process starts over. They repeat that, get new leaves, and that just goes on forever for the duration of the colony's lifespan. That's literally farming. That is exactly what humans do, just on a smaller ant level. Oh, and while we're on the subject, ants are basically ranchers, too. Like, ants are actually really freaking cool. What they do is they seek out aphids and mealybugs and other small little dumb bugs that release honeydew, which is, well, it's
not the melon.
Kind of like it's kind of like a sweet, sugary goo that some insects excrete. I'll leave it at that. Gross. Anyway, certain ants will seek out these bugs and harvest their weird, like, sugary honeydew pea, and they corral them up into little areas where the ants can defend them from predators and keep them safe. They're just like little itty-bitty cattle ranchers, and they drink all that, like, honeydew stuff, and they bring it back to their nest, and they pass it around and give it to anyone. So, I don't know. I want to be more excited about that, but can't really, because aphids and mealybugs, they're assholes. They kill houseplants, so it's cool, but also, fuck you, ants. Don't defend aphids. Aphids suck.
And don't even get me started on mealybugs. I hate those fuckers. Those watching on YouTube will see that our plants are finally free of their nets. I think we finally have our mealybug situation under control, but I'm going to stop mentioning them now in case it's like a Beetlejuice situation.
Good idea. For context, like, rewind a few episodes ago, we mentioned we purchased a box of ladybugs to just let loose into the apartment. We put them onto the plants here, put netting over it so they couldn't escape. And those little guys, they worked their asses off. They got rid of the mealybugs, knock on wood. And there's a few left of them too, so after the nets were taken off, we put them, I have a vivarium with like live plants, and they're living in there now, so good for them. Anyway, let's reel it back. As much as I love a nice, random, uncalled for rant at the beginning of an episode, we do need to get back to the origins of chili.
As mentioned, chili peppers were endemic to South America since ancient times and became ingrained in their culture. They were used as food, used as medicine, and their spicy nature even let them find usage as an early pest deterrent. That's pretty cool. Makes sense. I guess if you lit a bunch of them in a bonfire, there's not a lot of animals that are going to want to stick around in your little hut for much longer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, unless you had one of those chili head dudes that you hear about that they set out to eat the spiciest foods that they can find for I don't know, the excitement of it, I guess. I actually sort of used to be like that when I was younger. I loved to challenge myself to eating really spicy food, up until I got into my mid to late 20s, and my body just wouldn't cooperate anymore. Looking back, it's kind of dumb. I don't know. I feel like there's better ways to get your thrill-seeking fix than the adrenaline rush of feeling like your ass turned into an active volcano for 20 minutes straight.
While we're on the topic of spices and seasonings, another one of the major ingredients in chili and lots of Tex-Mex cuisine is cumin.
Yeah, cumin, which is originally native to India, it's made from the ground seeds of its eponymous plant, the cumin plant, which is related to carrots and celery. So the way that we like to describe cumin is that basically it smells like armpits and it makes everything taste like a taco. Really selling it. Seriously though, the pungent nature of it though is why it's important to chili con carne, because it imparts this warm, earthy flavor, which is part of what makes chili taste so hearty. As much as everyone likes to dress their chili up with 37 different ingredients and go on about what the real secret to good chili is, at its heart, the two most important tastes of chili are the cumin and, well, the chili itself. So, chili powder.
Chili powder, as its name suggests, is dried crushed chili peppers turned into powder. It was originally invented in 1894 by a German immigrant, of all things. William Gebhardt, specifically, was a German-American restaurateur who owned a cafe in Texas, who was looking for a way to preserve some of the fresh produce and foods he used in his food. Chili peppers specifically weren't available in the States year-round, and were a late summer crop in Texas, which is ironic considering how vital they are to most Tex-Mex cuisine.
Yeah, this guy Gebhardt, he got around to this problem when he had the idea to dry chili peppers out and dehydrate them and then grinds them up into a spice mix which retains that same chili pepper flavor, and it became a smash hit among more northern states in America where chili peppers were this strange exotic food they'd never heard of. Interestingly, this guy, Gebhardt, his brand was so successful and beloved that, it's actually still around today, almost 150 years later. You could go buy, Gebhardt spice or Gebhardt chili powder right now on Amazon, or if you find it in stores. So, good for that dude.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Going back in time to look at more origins for chili, Aztec culture actually had a pretty wide variety of cool foods that honestly sound pretty good compared to a lot of other earlier civilizations. In addition to chili peppers, they had a lot of squash and beans and other veggies. As we mentioned in our peanut butter cups episode, they grew peanuts too, and they had tomatoes.
Actually, on that note, fun fact, tomatoes, yes, were used in food in Aztec cuisine. However, they were also frequently given away as a gift as well. Usually they were given to newlyweds. Newlyweds would get bundles of tomatoes as kind of an old-timey wedding present.
Man, no one gave us tomatoes when we got married. Well, we did get a banana, though.
Yeah, that's not a joke, folks. For our wedding registry, we got a banana. So for our registry, we're using Target's website, and we saw that you could add any SKU listing from Target's database and inventory, whether it's in their registry for weddings or not. So I jokingly just added a single banana to our wedding registry. I marked it as one of our most wanted gifts, and lo and behold, on the day of our wedding shower, we totally got a fucking banana.
I thought we'd either get 20 bananas or no bananas, but we just got one single banana.
Yep. Actually, yeah, real talk though, it's for the best we didn't get a tomato as a wedding gift. Banana was better because apparently the Aztecs traditionally gave tomatoes to newlyweds because they saw them as a sign of fertility.
Oh, and fuck that.
Yeah, no, we don't need fertility. Forget that. But yeah, obviously the Aztecs, they ate a lot of grains and cereals and like corn and amaranth and chia. When I say cereal, I mean grain crop cereals, not like modern breakfast cereal. Although I do really love the mental imagery of this like grand ritual feast where they're cooking up all these like tasty fresh vegetables and stews and like meat they just hunted. They're milling their corn and making fresh baked tortillas. And then on the end of the table, there's just like a box of Lucky Charms. In addition to farming produce, the Aztecs also had a wide variety of meat as well. They hunted turkeys and other game fowls, a lot of fish. They hunted random other stuff like iguanas and gophers and crayfish and salamanders. Sure, why not? Really can't picture what you're getting at eating a fucking salamander. But like, so, honey, how's your grilled axolotl salamander? Dry, flavorless, and I ate it in one bite. Whoa, would you rather have another small meatless amphibian that spends most of its life buried in the mud? Maybe later.
They were also big into seasoning their foods and used salt. They used cocoa to flavor dishes as well. Honey was another tasty foodstuff they used in cuisine.
Oh, and they also ate people, too. Like, yeah, people. You know, they were cannibals. That's not a joke. That's not a stereotype. Like, the whole human sacrifice thing, well, let's just say that wasn't just like some weird spooky tale. They legit would just like kill people and eat them and cook them since they believed human flesh was like the food of the gods. So eating a human sacrifice, it was supposed to purify you since only gods could normally eat people. Hot take, but, you know, honestly, I think I'd get behind eating human flesh in like the right scenario. Like, seriously, I know that's one of the biggest taboos out there. Don't eat people, but like, I don't know. I'd try it just to say I did. Though, like, yeah, I don't know. It would need to have, like, some, like, real hardcore rules and prerequisites to make sure that it's, like, you know, doing it right. Like, they need to be, like, really healthy and not going to eat, like, a meth head or something. Like, that's just gross. That's unsanitary. Like, it needs to be, like, a random person, not someone who was, like, specifically raised, like, a chicken for slaughter. Like, that'd be super fucked up. And, you know, I shouldn't say, like, a random person. Like, I don't want to just eat, like, I don't want to just, like, shoot someone on the street and, like, eat them. No, rather, like, it'd need to be, like, punishment for something. Like, you know, someone who, like, just totally deserves the death penalty, like an unrepentant murderer or a rapist, something that just can't be rehabilitated. Like, I don't know, good situation would be, like, maybe, like, Hitler. Like, a good situation, like, they arrest him, they try him, he's guilty, and he's like, fuck you, I regret nothing, because I'm Hitler. And so they're all just like, all right, preheat the oven, boys. We got some trimming to do.
But, like, what if eating a person, you're at risk for inheriting their spirit or something?
Ooh, that's true. I don't want, like, an evil Hitler spirit. If that's the case, I probably wouldn't eat Hitler or, like, Stalin, because that's kind of risky. Or, you know, it needs to be someone, like, less evil and just, like, dumb, like... Oh, you know what? I got it. You know what? Here we go. Best cannibal scenario... Ingrid Newkirk, the longtime president of PETA. She's a remorseless asshole who runs an organization that lies to people and guilts them into giving them money and harnesses the power of shame to bully any organization that isn't directly linked to them. Oh, and best of all, so she's absolute fucking perfect irony of her being a vegan. That's just like that's like the chef's kiss cherry on top. And, you know, if any of you think I'm being a little cruel here, joking around, like, eating the CEO of PETA, then maybe you like to donate money to PETA, and, like, you think they do good. You know what? Tough shit. Do some more fucking research on PETA. Go to PETAkillsanimals.com, research PETA controversy, whatever. Have your eyes open. PETA is a borderline domestic terror organization. It's one of the most emotionally manipulative organizations in history. They swindle rich idiots and gullible morons into thinking their money's going towards, you know, animals in need who need help. But meanwhile, the majority of their money and their donations goes towards propaganda, which is mostly just trolling other organizations and employing workers that abduct and kill family pets. That's not a joke. They killed like 97%, like upwards of 90%, 90 to whatever, of the animals they take in. They're not an animal shelter. They don't do any good for animals. Fuck PETA. I would give away my entire life savings just to eat an Ingrid Newkirk burger. Whew.
That said, this is all just theory. No one come after us, please. We're not going to kill anyone. No eating anyone. And don't take Charlie and kill him.
Yeah, if PETA came and abducted Charlie and...
then I would let you have the burger.
Yeah, I can't guarantee I wouldn't go fucking do something that makes me land in jail if they kill Charlie, so...
Moving away from human sacrifice and cannibalism, over the years, the Aztecs formulated a lot of tasty dishes thanks to the wide variety of tasty foods that had access... the tasty foods that they had access to. Notably, there's records from the 1500s that they had begun cooking up stews made using chili peppers, meats, and veggies, which are basically an early predecessor to what would become chili con carne today.
Yeah, there's actually documentation of another dish eaten that would later become in Arizona in the 1730s. It seems like another chili prototype. This one was described by a Swiss Jesuit, Philip Segerser. The stew was made of roasted, pureed chili peppers combined with lard and chunks of meat. Obviously, that one was a little bit after the Aztec Empire, but Southwest is just all this good shit stirring up, literally. Not shit literally, but soup's getting stirred up.
Then a century later in the 1800s, in Mexican cuisine, there was a recorded recipe for these weird dried soup blocks made from dried beef, suet, chili pepper, salt, and other spices. These were almost like a primitive form of bouillon cubes, since they could then be boiled in water to create a spicy beef stew.
Recipes like this were actively paving the way for modern chili to be invented. Though actually, as we're about to cover, the actual creation of chili con carne is a little bit debated, with some people claiming it was created in Mexico, but then there's recorded documentation of Mexican culture in books rejecting the claim, going out of their way to say, nope, it's not a Mexican food. They're defined as an American food, but other historians believe it was invented in Texas, and that checks out considering the state's just fascinated with it to the point that it's now adopted as Texas's state food in present day. So with all that in mind, let's get nitty and let's get gritty, because now it's time to take a look at the history and the invention of today's topic. So, the invention of chili con carne is a little bit contested considering the complicated relation that Texas and Mexico had in the 1800s. The southwest U.S. and northern Mexico have always had a tendency to just kind of mush into each other and meld into each other since, prior to the Texas annexation in 1845, the idea of a U.S. border didn't exist. It was just a big hot desert region with a bunch of horses and cowboys just shooting their guns going, yeehaw! But really, Texas was originally part of Spanish territory after the Spanish conquistadors basically had their way with the entirety of Central and South America. And that's, as we've covered in other episodes, that's not really an exaggeration comparing it to rape, because they literally did some raping back then, so maybe they deserve to be eaten by some of those Aztecs back then. Anyway, following the Louisiana Purchase of 1805, America basically doubled in size with a bunch of territory bought from France in one of the biggest bargain sales in history. They got a shit ton of land for only $15 million. It worked out to about $18 per square mile. A square mile is over 600 acres of land. Imagine getting all that land for $20. That's pretty good.
Unfortunately, a decent-sized chunk of the Texas territory was included in this purchase, which kind of confused things since Spain owned the rest of it. And long story short, what followed was basically one of the bloodiest versions of two angry dads having an argument about how far their property extends out into the grass.
Yeah, Texas, during all this, Texas eventually fought for independence, but then it was later annexed by the United States, which only seems, I think I was thinking of Amex, fucking American Express. Anyway, Texas got its independence, and then it was later annexed by the United States, and that only seems right just because, the modern day of America is just, not having Texas as a part of it, it just seems so foreign and weird, Admittedly, though, I gotta say, I'm almost kind of curious to think about what it would have been like if there was just, this small little country tucked away in between the U.S. and Mexico. Texas is its own country. Would ICE just be, making housing raids and, mass deportations of Texans to take them back to the American border? Or would it be, would it be like vice versa? Would like Texas be kicking Americans out? Like, you fucking Americans think you can just waltz right on in here looking for cheap chili and 15-pound steaks? Well, this here is Texas, and everything's bigger in Texas, which means my foot is going to be gigantic when I kick your ass back into the United States of America with it.
Man, if that were the case, King of the Hill would have been a weird exotic sitcom about a foreign country.
That's so weird. It would have been like a British sitcom, but like the Texas sitcom. We were also going to say that like George W. Bush would have never been president, which depending on how much you like or dislike the guy, your mileage may vary there. But weirdly enough, George W. was born in Connecticut.
That is weird.
So weird. Like actually the only presidents of the United States to be born in Texas were Eisenhower and LBJ. As long as we're just like rattling off random fun facts, here's fun fact. While perusing the Wikipedia page for W, I discovered he's the only United States president to have an MBA degree, a master's in business. So, hey, good for him. At first I was going to say like, well, that makes sense because people with a master's in business don't generally go into politics. But then again, Donald Trump exists right now, and he was just a businessman, among other things. Though, I guess it's saying something that despite his whole shtick being business, he doesn't actually have an MBA. Huh. Make of that what you will.
Anyway, reeling it back in. Texas was finally annexed and officially became part of the U.S. in 1845. But by this point in time, Texas and Mexico were so culturally intertwined that this is basically where the idea of Tex-Mex culture comes from. The people of Mexico and American travelers and explorers who settled in the area shared a lot of different foods, music, art, style, and whatnot. As such, it makes sense that such a cultural zeitgeist like chili con carne was the byproduct of that region as a whole.
Yeah, speaking of chili, we already mentioned that there were like early predecessors of chili being cooked in Mexico during like the 1800s and even further back, but they weren't really quite what we would consider to be modern chili con carne today. There's like a dozen or so theories as to how it came to be. However, we're just going to talk about one explanation for its invention. Well...
Okay, let's just say we're going to talk about the most plausible explanation, because another origin story we kept seeing pop up in the research sounds like something from an anime acid trip, since it involves a mystical Spanish nun astral projecting herself across the Atlantic Ocean to teach Native Americans in the Southwest how to cook chili made from antelopes during an altered mental state trance.
Huh.
Definitely a story.
Yeah. Well... Speaking of that, the most plausible explanation for the origins of chili is that it was the crossroads of traditional southwestern cuisine with an infusion of cooking styles brought over from, wait for it, the Canary Islands. Plot twist! I bet you didn't see that one coming. Oh, and before anyone asks, canaries, the bird, they're from the Canary Islands. Never knew that, actually.
The Canary Islands are actually an archipelago. I knew that word in my head.
You
Trying
did
to
it.
say it out loud.
You made
Not
it.
as smooth. Located off the eastern coast of Africa, Morocco specifically, which are actually more occupied and associated with Spain and Europe. During the 1700s, migrants from the Canary Islands moved to San Antonio, Texas, and brought with them the idea for spiced stews featuring garlic and onions and a very liberal use of everyone's favorite Tex-Mex seasoning, cumin.
Imagine if the Canary Islands immigrants were just a bunch of little canaries, little birds.
That'd be adorable.
They show up with little suitcases. They're like, hey guys, we're here to show you how to cook really yummy soup. And then they just sing a cool tune.
That'd be adorable.
I wish. Yeah, but the less entertaining, more historically accurate version is due to some like political advocacy by Spain. They were trying to like stymie France out of Texas territory, so they basically just like did a bunch of propaganda and petitioned a bunch of families from the Canary Islands to like move to Texas to like help bolster its like Spanish heritage, because like they basically were just like, hey, do you want to make something for yourself? Move over to America, to this wacky, crazy place called Texas, and you'll be like royalty there. And I mean, it probably, it worked pretty good because, it got France out of Texas, but can't say it really worked out in the long run for Spain, considering Texas is part of the United States now. But, oh well, they tried. And hell, I mean, it was the best because these Canarian immigrants brought these stews with them, and over the next century or so, they blended together with the like chili stews that Mexicans and Texans had already been making. So before long, you had like working class women learning to make these like stews, and like small time eateries were cooking them up with like chilies and cumin and tomatoes and onions and garlic, and of course carne, meat. So chili con carne was born.
Unfortunately, if you were hoping for some sort of clear-cut, fine-pointed invention or inventor, well, we got some bad news for you. You know how there was like 15 people who claimed to invent the hamburger because it was so popular?
Mm-hmm.
Well, for chili, there's the opposite problem, but for the same reason. It was so common at the time that basically nobody claims to have invented it. Much like we covered with burritos, it seems like the peak evolution of tasty traditional foods.
Yeah, that all aside, we can't pinpoint an inventor. No one really knows, like no one claims to have invented it, but we can at least pinpoint the earliest mentions of the word or the phrase chili con carne. It first popped up in San Antonio, Texas in the 1840s. It became very popular very quickly thanks to chili finding a place as an inexpensive street food for the common man. Mexican Tejana women began cooking it and selling it in what I can only imagine were like these little 19th century Texas equivalent of like laid back hole in the wall burrito grills and like food trucks. But back then they were probably wagons. But yeah. These chili queens, as they were known, they sold it out of little carts on the streets and even in front of the Alamo.
Hilariously enough, Spanish Catholic priests working missions in Texas at the time didn't particularly care for the dish. And by didn't care for it, I mean they preached sermons against it, claiming that partaking in fiery, indulgent dishes like chili con carne would net you a one-way ticket straight to hell.
Chili is hot. It's spicy. That means you go to the hot place, hell. What the hell was up with these like early Christian preachers just like hating on food that tasted good? Like, I don't get it. I am a devout Christian, and I'm proud to be part of a super chill, like, LGBT affirming church. But if, like, I walked in one day and my pastor was like, so new rule, you can't eat pizza anymore or you'll go to hell, I would just fuck on right out of there and convert to Shintoism or something. No regrets. Send me to hell.
Apparently, the idea comes from the incredibly wrong, incredibly outdated belief that foods with strong flavors would incite impure thoughts.
Ooh.
You know, like how anytime you have a bowl of curry, you just have sex immediately after.
Of course.
It just happens, like, damn, that's a nice bowl of chicken korma. I love this. What? What happened? Where am I? Why am I in bed all of a sudden? Where are my clothes?
Oh, yeah, this kind of reminds me of good old Father Sylvester Graham, who we covered in the S'mores episode. If you need a quick reminder, he was another major advocate of perpetual misery and resisting the temptation of anything that featured a flavor. Like, repent all ye, for the Lord our God is angry. We have sinned, for we have slept with the windows closed. Leave your windows open and be cold, for that is the will of God Almighty. We humans are despicable monsters, defiling the good earth with our contemptible pleasures like salt and pepper. Unforgivable! The devil himself is greater than thee. Instead, you should live a terrible life, full of bland meals and a sore ass, for cushioned chairs are strictly forbidden by, well, not the Bible, and they're not forbidden by God or Jesus Christ himself, but still, resist the temptation of evils like coriander, and surely the rest of your eternity shall remain pure and boring. And by the way, none of that was me taking like comedic liberty. That's all real. Like, go listen to the S'mores episode. Sylvester Graham literally preached that sleeping on soft, comfortable mattresses and closing your windows to keep cold drafts out was sinful. And that your diet should consist solely of gram flour, eggs, and a small collection of certain fresh fruits and vegetables. That guy was an asshole. Speaking of assholes, apparently those Catholic priests preaching didn't exactly work, so, because, like, chili exploded in popularity over the next few decades, and it quickly spread to the United States outside of Texas.
By 1881, only 3 or 4 decades into its life, chili had already reached the tip-top peak of popularity that all delicious home-cooked foods wish to achieve. Someone tried canning it.
Yeah, William Tobin, a former Texas Ranger who turned into a businessman after his service was up, he came up with the original idea to create canned chili, which could be preserved and heated up at a later date.
The idea was actually really successful. He quickly reached a contract with the U.S. government to create canned chili, which could be used for feeding troops in the Army and Navy, and opened his own canning facility for it.
Side note, but like, can this dude get any more fucking American? Like, let's see here. Texas Ranger, check. Chili aficionado, check. Contractor for the United States military, check.
Oh, and also at one point he served as the city marshal for the Alamo.
Holy fucking shit, this guy was cool. Like, he's basically just like, now pardon me, Uncle Sam, but I want to petition you for a moment if I could, since I think I have an idea that would benefit the boys on the front line. You see, one time after a long day of cattle rustling and finishing up my daily rounds as a Texas Ranger, I stopped at a local chili joint, set my guitar down and ordered a bowl. I thanked the proprietor kindly and tipped him generously and went on my way. But then on the way home, I hitched my horse to take a breather, and I stopped for a moment. In the long, amber southwest sunset, I wiped my brow, and I looked up at the old red, white, and blue as the flag flew above my old house at the Alamo. I thought to myself, how can I give back to my country? What can I do? Then it hit me. Chili. Our troops need chili. It's their God-given right. And then a bald eagle carrying an olive branch and a rifle landed beside me and recited the Declaration of Independence and gave me a high five, and I knew it was a sign.
Very tragically, though, the poor guy died a few years into this contract, and in 1884 the business closed. What a bummer. This guy was ahead of his time, especially since canned chili wasn't seen or heard from again until almost a half a century later, when Lyman Davis of Corsicana, Texas, began canning chili and selling it from the back of a wagon.
Yeah, this guy, he called his product Wolf Brand Chili in honor of his pet wolf, who's named Kaiser Bill. Like, once again, holy shit, like, all these stories, they sound like fan fiction written to create, like, the perfect American folk hero. Like, these guys are real, though. Like, afternoon, ma'am, care to try some wolf chili? I named it after my buddy here, Kaiser Bill. He's a fucking wolf, and this is America, so if you don't like it, you can get out. Needless to say, the introduction of canned chili only helped its popularity in the rest of the United States. Chili parlors began opening up outside of Texas in the early 20th century, and a few decades later, in 1952, the very first chili cook-off took place in Dallas, which further cemented chili as an American staple. And the rest, well, they say, is history. Except for one small, trivial little asterisk that we do need to address. Beans.
Beans, for whatever reason, are a huge point of contention with chili aficionados. Some people claim that beans are necessary for chili, and some purists say the opposite, that chili is supposed to be meat and meat only.
The first mentions of beans we could find being cooked in chili comes from around the early 1900s, which coincidentally is around when chili con carne began taking off in the rest of America.
Interestingly, beans, as we mentioned earlier, were a staple food in Aztec cuisine, so they've been around for centuries and were most likely used in some of the early stews that served as predecessors to modern chili. Following suit, Mexican food and Tex-Mex as a whole tends to use beans in many dishes as well, so it's not out of the question to suppose that beans were found in early chili con carne.
That said, the International Chili Society, which we'll talk about later on in the modern day section, they strictly define chili as any kind of meat or combination of meats cooked with red chili peppers, various spices, and other ingredients, with the exception of beans and pasta, which are strictly forbidden.
Ouch. That's some extreme shade thrown at beans. Seems kind of unnecessary.
Yeah, like, especially when you consider that this fucking definition, it states verbatim various spices and other ingredients. So in other words, it leaves the door wide open for literally anything but beans, which it explicitly forbids.
Yogurt? Sure thing.
Yeah, grape jelly? Cool.
Ice cream? That works.
Wasabi? A little ethnic, but sure, why not?
Toenails? A-okay.
The blood of a freshly slain newborn baby boy.
Cool. But black beans? Oh, no. Absolutely fucking not. No way in hell. Never beans.
Honestly, it seems kind of arbitrary. No one really gives a good explanation for it. Hell, the International Chili Society was founded in 1967, which is over a century after chili was invented. So, I don't know, guys. Beans have been around way longer than you have.
It's tricky because, like, I don't know. It seems like Texans are the most ardent opponents of beans in Chile. So, like, you know, who are we to question them? Like, I know if a bunch of people outside of New York were just, like, insisting that penne alla vodka should have peas added to it, I would fucking go full on Guido mode and tell them to fuck right off. I don't know. In the end, it doesn't seem like there's an answer to this debate. It just feels like one of those stupid, like, traditional feuds that only exist because people like to wrap themselves up in a really harmless argument that doesn't matter at the end of the day, just for funsies.
Well, unless there's been actual fistfights or stabbings or something over the bean debate. In which case, holy shit, guys, find something better to fight about.
Yeah. Really, though, like, it's silly. We shouldn't be fighting about chili. Like, chili is basically the food equivalent of the melting pot metaphor that you hear America compared to all the time. It brings all these different cultures together. Like, the original stews that inspired chili have their origins in Aztec and Canary Island cuisine. The modern incarnation of it is an American invention from Texas, and you had Mexican Tejana women who helped modern iteration of chili grow in popularity, and a German-American dude invented chili powder, which is one of the key ingredients necessary for helping it spread elsewhere. It was a real team effort, an international team effort, and that is just beautiful. Anyway, the story doesn't quite stop there, because now it's time to get modern and see what people have been doing chili in recent history, and also we're going to be bringing on a special guest who is an official, well, unofficial Texas...
Official to us.
He's official to us because he's a born and bred Texan, which makes him an official connoisseur of chili, even though I don't know if he actually, like, is a connoisseur of chili. But we're going to have a special guest, so keep it here. Hey peeps, before we make it to the modern day section with our special guest, we also have one brief message from one of our podcast partners, so give her a listen and check it out.
Hi, my name is Kaylin, and I'm the host of a new podcast called Tea Time Thoughts. Do you ever wish you could learn more about history, books, music, art, and culture, but you just don't know where to start? I totally feel your pain. Learning about all these things can be so overwhelming. Well, I want to change all of that for you. In my podcast, Tea Time Thoughts, I'll show you just how fun it all can be. In the time it takes to have a cup of tea, I'm going to teach you everything from the French Revolution to the Black Plague, Mozart to Broadway musicals, Da Vinci to Robert Frost, ancient Egypt to Queen Elizabeth II, and more. You can stream Tea Time Thoughts wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. So what are you waiting for? Put the kettle on and listen to Tea Time Thoughts today.
Alright, today we're changing things up. We called in a specialist to help us with today's discussion of modern day chili con carne. Patrick here is a longtime friend of mine. He's also a friend of the show. He's a friend of Meg. He's everybody's friend. Before we start talking about chili, let's take some time to get to know him. So, take it away, Patrick.
Thanks, y'all. I appreciate y'all having me on. Yes, I am Patrick, and I am also from Texas.
Yeah,
the best place to be.
You're our very first guest that we've had on Deep Dish, so that's it's quite the honor. I hope
Charlie doesn't count.
Yeah, I hope you feel very honored right now. Our dog doesn't count.
I do. I'm completely honored. Y'all are, but this is like 13 episodes in.
Something like that.
Hell yeah, sending it off.
Yeah, we lost track at this point. I don't know. Something in the teens. It's funny because there's this comedian that launched a podcast that we really like his other podcast, and he launched a podcast around the same time as Deep Dish. And for a little bit, we were ahead of him. We were like 2 episodes ahead, and then we started to slow our pace down, and now we're behind. So we lost that race in terms of episode count, and also, you know, viewership and popularity and financial. So
It helps when you have an already established podcast.
That too.
Brings
yeah.
guests over.
As opposed to us, we're nobody. But yeah, so this is our, like we said, this is our very first guest podcast edition. So, you know, even though you're our first guest, we still need to get a few things out of the way. So first, we need to ask the important questions. Before we start talking food, we're going to run through a few of these rapid fire one by one so our listeners can get to know our new guest. Are you ready, Patrick?
I am.
Okay, let's do this. Question number 1. What's your favorite type of pizza?
Canadian bacon and mushroom. As long as it's not thin crust.
All right. Number 2, coffee or tea?
Since I'm from Texas, it's got to be tea for sure.
Interesting. Is that a thing? Your mom is from that. Is
My
Texas?
mom drinks tea.
Yeah.
Is it good as sweet tea?
Yeah, sweet tea.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because her mom's from Texas, so she's just like tea fanatic. I never thought about that. See, now I'm from New York, so I drink a shit ton of coffee. Oh.
Now, Brianna would fit in perfectly. She drinks all the coffee. I'll take the tea.
That said, I do like tea a lot. We have a bunch of tea. Like, we already fucked.
Yeah, we're supposed to be rapid
This is supposed to be
fire.
rapid fire. We already fucked this
go.
up, so we have
sorry.
banana tea. But that's besides the point. Number 3, what's your favorite color?
Blue.
Good
Blue.
choice.
Number 4, what's the last thing that you ate?
It was pizza, but with some weird crust or something like that.
Pizza is a good choice. Good choice.
Always pizza.
Okay, what's your favorite restaurant to go out to?
Okay. Dynasty, if it's like Chinese food, like I'm just going out, but like social wise, BJ's Restaurant and Brew House, or this place that we call the Castle. It used to be like a furniture store, and they converted it, and now it's Sol del Jalisco.
Ah, fancy,
Yeah.
fancy. Next up, we're playing Mario Kart. Who are you racing as?
Mario.
Obviously, he plays Mario. He plays Mario in every game that Mario is a character.
Pretty much.
Question number 7. What's your go-to grocery store?
HEB, that's our local chain.
Makes sense. Number 8. What's your favorite food of all time?
Like Mexican food would be a close second, but probably Chinese.
Number 9. What's your spirit animal?
For the sake of being rapid, I would say dog. I was going to say cow originally, but I don't want to have to explain that one.
Dog's an easy answer, and dog is short. And last but not least, today's random question of the day, which is brought to you by Google. What's your favorite ice cream topping?
Caramel. Why not caramel?
Caramel is good. Who could say no to caramel? So yeah, that was our not so rapid fire question.
We need to work on the rapid
Yeah,
part.
we'll work on the rapid part. It's hard. But all right, yeah. I mean, so you said you were born and raised in Texas. That's correct, right?
Yes, deep in the heart of it, actually. I'm in Central Texas, and I'm in the center of Central Texas. So, like, it takes several weeks to, like, leave Texas driving from where I am in, like, basically any fucking direction.
Jesus.
So, yep, I'm right in the middle of it.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that earlier in the episode. Just like Texas is so friggin' big. I feel like a lot of people like lose sight of how just enormous it is. Like it could just be its own country, really.
Pretty much.
But correct me if I'm wrong. Speaking of which, your hometown is the town that King of the Hill was based on, right?
Okay, for the longest time until literally like 2 months ago, I thought it was Temple because of all the references to the towns, around us that are said in the show. But in an episode, they mentioned the Temple Tigers. So it can't be where I live anymore. As a matter of fact, the football teams Arlen faces are the Belton Wildcats and the Temple Tigers. In real life, it's reverse. It's the Belton Tigers and Temple Wildcats. And I happen to be a Tiger. I actually graduated from Belton. So I'm a Tiger at heart.
I mean, so close enough. The region is the same, effectively.
Yeah. So Killeen, Waco, Belton, those all exist. New Hoffenheim, where they get the gnome. That's based on Fredericksburg, west of Austin. It's a little German town.
See, that's interesting because, like, earlier in the episode, too, we covered how there was a German dude who invented chili powder. And it's funny to think, like, there's a lot of Germans in Texas, but yeah, I guess there's
Lots
German
of them.
Really? That's cool. I never knew that.
Good to know.
Big culture down here with it.
Everyone thinks New York City is the melting pot, but, down there in Texas, you guys got plenty of cultures, too. So that's pretty cool to respect
Hell
that.
yeah.
All right. What's your favorite thing about living in Texas? Is there anything specific you like about the culture or the area or just in general?
People tend to be more open to like social engagement. Like I've been to other states where it's, you're standing in line or something, you say hi to somebody, and they look at you like you're crazy. I don't know if y'all experienced that in New York, but it's just really easy. You could be standing in line somewhere or out on a walk or something and just say howdy or, hey, how you doing? And people respond, or sometimes they'll have conversations with you. So, yeah, everybody's just a little more open and, more apt to talk to you if you just walk up to a stranger and start talking to them.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's very hit or miss here in New York. Like,
it's kind of a read the room situation.
Yeah, like people will just start conversations with you and say hello, like we're just walking on the street and stuff, but like, not always. Yeah, you know what I think it is, honestly? I feel like younger people, and I don't want to just like fade to dust and be like, well, see, kids. The thing about kids, but like honestly, like I noticed with like older people, like people that are older than us, tend to be the ones that like if you're just walking, be like, oh hey, nice day today, right? And it's like, yeah, it is nice, and like part of me, like the socially awkward fucking like part of me is like, no, leave me alone, I don't want. But then part of me also is like, that's so nice and it's so wholesome. That I don't want that to go away, but like people that are like, I don't know, in their 20s and like teens, like they just like are fucking walking like fucking miserable.
I was gonna say,
oh yeah, they're in their phone like this, walking by, you say hi to them.
I feel like in New York, people don't necessarily just randomly like say hi to them, but will like come together to like hate someone or like complain about something. Like if we're on a line, people won't just say hi, but if it's like really slow, be like, can you believe this? Like this line, like like. Like we'll all come together to like be negative about something, but then that makes it a positive.
That's awesome.
So speaking of Texas, you need to tell me, how often do you see dudes walking around with cowboy hats on?
Well, it's weird. Like maybe a couple miles from my house, there's a couple high-rise buildings, and it's just like city-ish down there. But if you drive like 5 to 10 minutes any direction out of the town I live in, yeah, you'll see some guys like cowboy hats and stuff like that. Really? Brianna, that I mentioned earlier, my girlfriend, we went out on a drive recently. We like to hit the back roads or whatever.
Right.
And we saw 3 guys with cowboy hats and like Wranglers on and shit. On horseback.
That's wonderful.
And they were like out in the horizon, like on the distance of the rolling plains that looked like a fucking movie. It was like getting close to dark. It's like, well, and that's like 5 minutes from my house. And it's, I don't know, it's a weird thing, but you can find it if you look for it.
That's pretty badass. I like that. Speaking of which, like on that same thread, I guess, like what kind of like fun, like wacky stereotypes out there like about Texas are actually true? Like, for example, like here in New York, like, people just drop the word fuck casually, like, is the same way they just say the word hello. Like, you can't go more than 5 minutes any direction without seeing a pizza place. See guys with, like, huge watches that talk like this. They're usually bald and fat, and they got big chains and thumb rings. Like, so like, what kind of, like, is the Texas equivalent of that, like, that you kind of see?
Well, a lot of people with lifted trucks. That is more common than I'm willing to admit. Okay, like King of the Hill, everybody kind of like hangs out on their lawnmowers, like drinking a beer. That's surprisingly common.
Really?
I used to live in a town about 10 miles north of here when I was younger, and it was so small and everybody knew each other that there was this guy right at the end of my block. He would always take his lawnmower down to the gas station by the highway to like pick up a 6-pack of beer, and you just see him like hanging off with it, just like holding it, driving back up the hill to his house. It's just stupid.
That's fun. Because like honestly, I like harmless stereotypes, like stuff that gives like where you were from like an identity. I love that shit.
On the other hand, though, what kind of stuff do people totally get wrong about Texas? Like, what kinds of tropes and stereotypes do you think are not justified?
That all of Texas is just like cactus and a bunch of deserts and shit. Like, Texas is like the world map of a fucking video game. Like, we have everything. We have desert, mountains, grassy plains, forests, fucking snow when it's winter, and beaches like the coast. And I live in the center of it, or like, you know, the grassy plains, like rolling country part of it is. So it's like I'm like in World 1 of Super Mario Brothers 3, where there's grass and cacti at the same time.
Awesome.
So it's pretty fucking cool.
I've been saying for years basically that, so like, what the thing they do with like Pokemon games now is like each new like time they make new Pokemon games, each like place, the region it takes place is based off a real world location now. Like the few like first of them were like Japanese places, but then they branched out. They did New York, then they did France, and then Hawaii. The latest one is like I've been saying they should make a Texas Pokemon region. That would be awesome. And then like that just cements that. If you're saying it's just like so like varied.
Oh yeah, I'd play the shit out of that. That'd be cool.
They could have like cool Texas Pokemon too. They could have like a sheriff or something. Anyway, going back to like our main topic for the episode. This is an episode about chili con carne. So tell me, what is the best chili that you've ever had?
See, I knew I was going to be fucked up and like out myself as not Texan. I'm on like an episode about chili. And I don't have chili too often, or from like restaurants and stuff, so I can't really say. But I will say that Brianna's dad makes chili with like fucking everything. Like every single dish that they make, like last Thanksgiving, there was like 5 different things, and they all contain some type of chili with it, like chili and beans, and then like chili and corn. It just chili by itself. It was fucking ridiculous.
That does sound really good. We just did our Thanksgiving episode, like last episode, and we were talking about like, I like how different families, like different regions, have different takes on Thanksgiving. So like, I never thought of like chili in Thanksgiving. That's cool. I like that.
Oh hell yeah.
Chili is the state dish of Texas, and as we covered earlier in the episode, it's deeply rooted in the state's history. In terms of like current day, is it as serious as it used to be? Do people take it as seriously as we're all led to believe?
Holy fuck. Yes, they do. Like, go to any restaurant, any family cookout, any cook-off, like just anywhere, and not find chili there. Like, it's just not gonna fucking happen. It will be there in some form or another here in Texas.
So it's true. That brings up then, we mentioned earlier in the episode that there's this big debate with chili about whether or not beans belong in chili. So where do you fall on this personally?
Back then I would have said beans, but I've gotten so used to everyone just hating beans that I'm close with. So I've turned into a no beans guy for sure. It changes the texture a lot. So I prefer just a good old nice chunky chili, no beans, no bullshit.
There's another variant of chili that you really like, right? It's not exactly like chili though.
Yes. Oh my God. Cincinnati Chili. It's fucking chili on top of spaghetti. And people think it's crazy. And there's a lot of other shit on it. The ingredients are weird. If you tell them to people, they think it's like fucking nasty. There's cinnamon, cocoa, and brown sugar in it. So people are, like, what the fuck? But it's actually extremely good. If you order the chili by itself in places you can get it, they'll look at you like you're fucking crazy. It's like having a peanut butter jelly sandwich, but without the peanut butter. So, or actually, they won't even have it on the menu. You can't fucking order it by itself because it's like, why are you here then? So, Cincinnati Chili, 3-way is the standard way to have it. They call it ways. If you just do 2-way, that's really just chili spaghetti. But 3-way is pasta, meat, and cheese. 4-way adds onions. 5-way adds beans. And then it's served with oyster crackers and usually a Coney with the same toppings on the side of it. Ooh. And then it's not uncommon to find like 2 or 3 bottles of Tabasco because like people just fucking unscrew the cap and like dump it on there. So, I mean, oh, God, it's so good to have it. Speaking of Skyline Chili, my grandmother visits in the winter. She's here now, actually. She lives like 20 miles west of Cincinnati, right in Indiana on the border of Ohio and Kentucky. So when she comes down, she brings me cans of Skyline Chili, which you can get. It's cheaper locally. Like, you can order it on Amazon, but this shit's like $6 a can.
Yeah,
So
Amazon.
I just wait for her to bring it. But yeah, got all the fun stuff on here. Probably can't read it, but yeah, just like I was saying, you can do the 3-way, 4-way, 5-way. Has all the little suggestions for it.
That's
That's
cool.
cool.
I had no idea there was so much like lore to Cincinnati Chili, like and layers and shit. I never knew about that. That's really cool.
They do have a Texan variant of it, and that's what I usually make when I don't have these cans here. The normal one, you're supposed to boil it in water, the meat, and then add everything in there. So you could probably hear it a little bit. It's a little watery,
Right.
a little runnier, and the flavor's a little muted. Texas, how I do it myself, I don't use water. I just have the juices of the meat do all of it for me. So it ends up being a little chunkier, and I tend to prefer it that way, at least until I get my hands on the real thing, and then I'll love this again.
That's cool. That's cool. That is perfect timing that you got that.
Yeah.
I know what you
Hell
mean.
yeah.
Amazon, they're sons of bitches. Like, they have Prime Pantry and stuff. And it's like...
Fire Page is the most confusing things
is,
I've ever tried to
yeah.
use.
Like, trying to buy stuff on it. Like, you gotta have Prime, but then also some things aren't eligible for it. And then, like you said, all the food that you can get on there, it's like 5 times more expensive than if you just bought it at a store or something.
Yeah, I've tried to like buy volume shit, but it's like the same price as me going down the fucking streets. It's like, well, I'll just go down the street and get it today.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
No.
All right. Well, I guess that does it for our little interview section. Let's just dive right into just talking about modern day chili shit. We'll shoot the shit about chili. So, like, in terms of like modern day applications of chili, I feel like one of the more like important cultural behemoths you see with them are chili cook-offs. Like you mentioned before that, like, you know, those are all over the place in Texas. But, you know, for some reason, if any of our listeners, the term cook-off is foreign to you, I don't know why, but, or you just don't understand compound words. Chili cook-offs are basically just these, like, folksy cooking contests where everybody shows up with a pot of chili, and voting is held to determine who the best one is. Usually you see these things at, like, festivals and carnivals and, like, fairs, like, state fairs or county fairs. Do those even happen anymore? Like... I feel like the concept of a state fair like only happens in like TV shows now. We spent over 30 years living in New York State, and we've never heard of a state fair.
There was the
State fair.
The Brookhaven fair. Is
That's
that a county
true.
fair?
I don't know. There is one fair that we have around here.
Just not this year.
Not this year, obviously. There's a lot of fairs and a lot of things that happened in 2020, but yeah, there. But I don't know. I don't know if it's a county fair or whatever. Is there a Texas state fair? Like?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now, I've never been to, like, the Big Pete one or whatever, like you see in King of the Hill. That does exist, by the way.
Really?
But that was, like, back in the 90s.
That's cool.
But, yeah, we have an expo center. It's like a big-ass dome. You know, they'll throw a Ferris wheel and a couple other things out there. And then on the other side, you know, at the same time, they have, like, stables where they do the auctions and stuff. So, like, at the same time... this fair's going on, they're doing auctions, so you show up and it smells like horse shit everywhere and like pig shit. So you stay for 5 minutes, you get some overpriced funnel cakes, ride the Ferris wheel, tell them to stop at the top, and then get the fuck out.
That sounds like a fair. Honestly, I'm really surprised though, considering what you said before. Like, it's just like Texas is so huge. The idea of like having a like just here you go, everybody in Texas. Here's where the fair is. This is one little place. Come here. Here in Patchogue, we don't really have country fairs. Like, we do have a fall festival every October.
When there's not a global pandemic.
Yeah, every October that's not a pandemic here. But we do traditionally have a chili cook-off here in, you know, our hometown. And it features, like, there's like 2 million restaurants here in Patchogue. So they all participate. And last year, I think the winners were Hometown Bake Shop and Brick House Brewery. They tied for first.
I voted for Hometown Bake Shop because it was really good. It had like cornbread and pickled veggies on top, and it was really good. They also have really good breakfast sandwiches and scones. So.
Yeah, they're cool. They opened up recently. And speaking of chili cook-offs, they're actually like a really big deal now, like outside of Texas, and it's not even just an American thing anymore. Like, they've actually spread to other parts of the world. Like, for example, there's the Upton Cheney Chili Festival in the UK, in England. Can't imagine what sorts of great foods they're tossing into Chile, into jolly old England.
Ladies and gents, gather round. It's been quite a lark, and we've had some truly scrummy entries today, but it pleases me to announce today's winner, Split Peas and Bloated Paste Chili. Based on traditional British cuisine, you see, we chose a true standout here that actually reserved the nice greasy fat rows present in those fish, sliced them all chunky like and stuck them straight into the chili, giving it a nice gamey, oily flavour. The bloaters themselves are freshly cured innards and gizzards and all. They smoked them whole, and wouldn't you know, all those organs and entrails left in, they bloated right up, they did. That's why they call them bloaters after all. Guts in all, straight into the pot. Mm-mm. Oh, and the split peas, well, that's just to give it a nice bright green vomit colour.
I feel like I'd have to, if I had ate that, I'd have to have a beer and like put like twigs and mud and like, sticks and shit in it and leaves.
Give
just
yourself,
to finish it out.
Just hit yourself in the head first, a head injury. Bloaters are a real thing. Bloaters, they're a type of fish that gets cured with, like I said, all the innards and shit inside, which makes them bloat up, and they're disgusting. And sometimes what they'll do is they'll grind those up into a fucking slurry, into a paste, and they just fucking put that on toast, because English food, that's a running gag we have. English food is awful. Like, we love busting England's balls because we love them. Like, we have fun teas. Also, I have British heritage, so it's okay. I got the Ancestry DNA test results.
There you go.
But it's not totally out there to think England has no idea what they're doing with chili either, because it's actually like hot off the presses. We were watching Gordon Ramsay the other day. He was doing it was like a Christmas special or something, and he was making like Mexican eggs or something like that.
Oh yeah, some Mexican brunch dish.
Yeah, it was a brunch dish. It was like eggs, and he's like, it's all finished up, and he's like adding in black beans. But, like, he's adding them in. He's like, next up we have, now these are black beans. They're a variety of bean that's very good and prominently featured in, like, Tex-Mex and Southwestern American cuisine. It's just like...
Explaining black beans. We're like, we all know what black beans are, Gordon Ramsay.
Seriously.
It's like the concept of, like, it's... I mean... They I don't know. I don't know how common black beans are. Apparently not common enough that, he needs to explain them to his audience, but whatever. But really, it is really cool that, like, we see other countries getting in on the action. Like, especially, like, there's an International Chili Society, which sanctions cook-offs in America and other countries as well. They run an annual circuit that culminates in the Chili World Championship every October. In addition to them, there's another international organization, the Chili Appreciation Society International, which sanctions over 550 chili cook-offs of its own every year with their own International Chili Championship. I wonder if, like, those two chili organizations, like, secretly hate each other. Like it's kind of like the NFL and the XFL, where, like, one is clearly superior, much bigger, and the other just won't go the hell away.
According to ChiliCookoff.com, which seems to be governed by the ICS, the reigning champions from 2019 are Diane Lentz in the traditional red category and Lloyd Weir in the homestyle category. Why are there two categories?
I don't know what the fuck.
There's probably some long, convoluted explanation that absolutely no one would understand or care about outside the people who could actually explain it to you.
Yeah. But,
I want to be part of this.
Yeah, I mean, hey, you're closer to than we are. Like, you can go chunk it out. Like, presumably next year when things happen again in the world.
I didn't even know there's like two different traditional red and home style. I guess I've had home style my whole life. I don't know what the difference is.
Apparently, according to their website, apparently the two categories stems from the bean debate that we mentioned earlier. Traditional is their super strict rule set, and home style is anything goes with beans allowed. Basically, if chili were Smash Brothers, home style is items on, and traditional is Fox only, no items, no and on Final Destination.
Now I got it.
There you go. So everyone can get that now. Super Smash Brothers. But, yeah, I don't know. Like, I wonder how many international competitors actually make it to the World Championships. Like, do you think there's, like, this, like, little old Japanese grandmother who, like, unlocked the secrets to chili with, like, secret umami flavors, like, chakra deep within, like, bonito flakes or something? Like...
Usually if Chef Saito has one.
That's true.
There should be a show about this. I mean, you have like Kitchen Nightmares and all these other shows and shit. So
I'm surprised there isn't.
That's a perfect candidate for that shit.
There's Great British Bake Off. There should be like Super Texas Chili Off or something.
The Great International Chili War. Come on, who do we speak to make that a thing? But moving on, we have another popular chili fixture that we see everywhere from fast food joints to Coney Island to even Sonic the Hedgehog. And that, of course, is the chili dog.
Chili dogs, aka hot dogs covered in chili and cheese, have a bunch of disputed origin stories that we'll take a look at. The earliest mention we found about these was a claim that early hot dog stands in Altoona, Pennsylvania and Paterson, New Jersey started selling what they called Texas wieners.
All right, guys, let's get out of our systems now, all of us. Let's all just take a moment and giggle. Wieners. We're going to be talking about wieners. There's a variety called hot wieners.
Hot wieners.
Hot.
Oh, but seriously, these two claims that we found suggest that early versions of the chili dog were created around 1920 before they spread to New York City. So, considering they were in the Northeast, I'm gonna guess that it wasn't really authentic chili at the time. We say this specifically because there was a similar type of hot dog with chili lookalike tossed onto it, which is another predecessor, like Coney Island dogs. Like, honestly, like, if there was just, like, I don't know, what I'm imagining was just, like, it was probably some Guido in Jersey who was just, like, they cooked up a pot of, like, marinara sauce, like meat sauce, and they just added, like, red pepper flakes to make it spicy. We're like, oh, check it out, it's authentic, big city Texas chili, like my sweet nana used to make in the old country. Oh! Coney Island, have you ever been to Coney Island?
I haven't.
Yeah, I've been to Coney. I'm assuming you haven't been to Coney Island, Patrick.
I have not.
Yeah, Coney Island is interesting because it's like this weird combination of like kind of run down and dingy, but also like just like fun and like magical because like there's
it's like amusement park the island.
Yeah, there's like the Coney Island amusement park. There's that's where Nathan's holds their like hot dog championship every year. But there's also just like there's a beach. I don't know if you want to go swimming around like New York City water. But yeah, Coney Island, like they have the Cyclone, which is it's a roller coaster. It's like the world's oldest roller coaster. That, like, not the world's oldest roller coaster, it's one of the oldest roller coasters. It's made of wood, which is, like, crazy, because it's, like, 100-year wooden structure that's got, like, fucking trains running across it. But, yeah, Coney Island's a lot of fun. If you ever come up to visit here in Texas, I'd love to take you there. You could get a couple of chili dogs and see how they compare to, real chili.
Well, see, I need to do that because I've only been exposed to the Coneys that come with Cincinnati Chili and, like, fucking Sonic like drive-ins Coneys, and that's like not even like close to a representation of actually probably good like Coneys.
Yeah, I can imagine.
The Coney Island dogs were created around the turn of the century in the early 1900s, before 1910. These things were served with a thick brown stew that contains meat. However, it was based on sauces brought over by Greek immigrants, and as such, it features flavors like oregano, parsley, dill, etc. And apparently the meat it was made of was beef hearts?
Oh, no!
Yeah, no thanks.
Nah, y'all can keep that.
Yeah, that ain't a chili dog. Sorry, guys. I don't know why I'm saying that like I know, like I have any fucking right saying that's not a chili. I've never eaten a chili dog in my life. I wish I did.
One day I'll make a hot dog that you will like as a chili dog.
Yeah, the fatal flaw with me is I don't like hot dogs. I want to like chili dogs, but I don't like hot dogs, so that's like doesn't work.
There's a little conflict there.
Yeah. This other last story we have for the origin of chili dogs is from the mystical, far-off land of mystery and nonsense, California. California. Sunny skies and endless beaches and homeless men jerking off in the street right in front of you, and palm trees and perfect weather. It's perpetually on fire for 60% of the year. It's truly paradise. But, yeah, depending on who you ask, there's two explanations for the invention of chili dogs. Weirdly, both of them are from the same time in 1939. Some people attribute it to a guy named Art Elkind, that's a name, Art Elkind. He opened a hot dog stand in Los Angeles, and apparently it's because he couldn't find work during the Great Depression, apparently as a chemical engineer. Huh, wow, gee, can't imagine how someone could have problems finding a job in that field during the Great Depression.
Similarly, locals claim that Paul and Betty Pink, owners of Pink's Hot Dogs, started selling chili dogs when they also opened in 1939, since Mrs. Betty apparently cooked up a mean chili recipe.
Yeah, it's hard to say which of them came first, because, as we've had to concede a bunch of times already in this show, we just need to settle for, like, a few people had the same idea around the same time. And it makes sense, at least, because California and Texas seem to be, like, intrinsically linked through their, like, southwestern geographic culture, much to their chagrin.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people from California are moving to Texas right now. Like,
That is correct.
Really?
A lot of businesses, the company I work for, actually, they had an office in San Francisco and moved to Austin. If you ever played San Francisco Rush, Midway, that game company, they moved to Austin. There's Blizzard Entertainment here.
Weird.
And Retro Studios.
Ah.
Yeah, so
Developers of
everybody comes to
Metroid
Austin,
Prime.
but it's slowly turning into its own little California because all the Californians are like replacing all the Austinites. So yeah, it's its own thing.
Well, I mean, that's just more proof that Texas is better than California. And like, hey, that's unbiased because we live in New York, and I'm still saying California not as good as Texas. Texas way better.
Hell yeah!
I got your back, dude.
Appreciate it.
Let's see. After this, chili dogs grew popular quickly in the 1950s with the rise of fast food places and diners. And to this day, they are still heavily associated with fast food places.
Yeah, fast food places and Sonic the Hedgehog. Not joking around. We'd be kind of remiss to leave out that randomly, officially, in canon, Sonic the Hedgehog's favorite food is chili dogs. Interestingly, like, that wasn't originally thought up by, like, the original, like, makers of Sonic the Hedgehog who are, like, in Japan. Instead, it was suggested as, like, just a stupid, like, one-off joke in the, like, Archie comics they made of Sonic the Hedgehog, which they ran around, like, the 90s. That joke of him liking chili dogs was repeated a bunch of times, and then eventually it just got adopted into video games later on, and they're all over the place. Like, I think that's actually, like, a really fun, like, little trivia fact, since, like, that's really rare for, like, Americans to make up some dumb thing for, like, a Japanese property, like a show or a game, and then the Japanese creators are like, yeah, okay, that's official now. I don't know. I think part of why I really want to like chili dogs is because, like, the little kid inside of me is like, I want to like the Sonic the Hedgehog food.
I didn't know that about Sonic. I actually found that out only, like, I don't know, a few months ago when Terminal Montage released this something about Sonic video, and it had, like, chili dogs featured in it. So I was like, is this a thing about Sonic I didn't know about, or what? But apparently it is.
Yeah, it was all over the cartoons in the 90s, and then now I think, like, they're actually, like, used as, like, items in some of the Sonic the Hedgehog games now. So, like, it came full circle.
Oh, shit.
Chili dogs are also Brent and Cornergas's favorite food, although that's about the only thing him and Sonic the Hedgehog have in common.
A good Canadian sitcom. The main character Brent and Sonic the Hedgehog, they're both sassy pantses.
That's true.
So they got that. In other tackier news, which is saying something because we just spent like 5 minutes talking about Sonic the Hedgehog. Anyway, Hormel recently announced it's putting out a new canned chili that they're declaring to be the world's hottest chili con carne.
Supposedly it's made with both ghost peppers and Carolina Reaper peppers, which trade off title for spiciest peppers in the world on a regular basis.
Yeah, like, if for some reason our listeners have never heard of ghost peppers, which I really find that hard to believe, because, like, it seems like the United States as a whole has just been obsessing over them for, like, the past decade. But for reference, let's just quickly talk about the Scoville Scale, which is the way that you measure how spicy a chili pepper is. Jalapeno peppers, which, they tend to be, like, the baseline level for what most people will consider, like, wow, this sure is spicy. Jalapenos sit around, like, 3,000 units on average. Sometimes if they're bred or concentrated differently, they can reach like 6,000, 7,000, maybe 8,000. So But overall, they're like a couple thousand units on this scale. The ghost pepper, meanwhile, it's a bit spicier. And by a bit spicier, I mean it's fucking 2 million units. 2 million Scoville units. That's, yeah. As annoying as everyone's fascination with ghost peppers are, like, I will say that is really friggin' impressive. Like, that's 100 times hotter than the pepper that most people think are too spicy for their nachos. Oh. What's the spiciest pepper you've ever had, Patrick?
Oh, shit. Probably jalapenos.
Really?
Some habanero peppers and shit.
There's
nowhere to get it.
Yeah,
there's nowhere to get it around here.
I've had, because we grew habanero peppers in my garden once. They're really fucking spicy. I think the spiciest thing I've ever eaten was I made like tostadas, which like you take like corn tortillas that are flat, you put like vegetables and like chicken and shit on them, and I wanted to put like some sauce on them. So I was like, I have my sister and her husband, every time they go like to like, I don't know, somewhere in like Mexico, or they travel a lot, so when they go to like Mexico or like Puerto Rico, they always give me hot sauce as a souvenir. They took home one year, they got me like Scotch bonnet habanero hot sauce, which I think they're like the spiciest variety of habanero. They're like I think they're like 800,000, so they're maybe like a third of the way of oh wow, we have a fucking one of our ladybugs is crashing into the light box over there. But yeah, so like really spicy. I foolishly, on my tostada, I was eating it in my bedroom when I lived with my parents, and I put that Scotch bonnet habanero sauce onto my tostadas. I had a cartoon moment where like I bit into it and I was like, oh my god, this is really spicy, and then started chewing and just like was just like, oh, like if flames could have shot out of my mouth, they would have, because like it was just instantly, I like stood up and just like spit it in the garbage, and I ran downstairs to go and just started pouring water into my mouth and rinsing my mouth out. I was just like, I couldn't get there fast enough.
I had a lady send me spicy chocolate sauce, homemade chocolate sauce.
Like mole sauce?
Kinda. I had helped her with something. She was one of our contractors where I work, and she lives up in the Seattle area. And, I helped her out. She said she was going to send me a care package. So, yeah, that was part of it. Just a little... She put, like, little chilies in it or something, and there was, like, little bits of it inside the chocolate sauce. So, it was interesting. I'd never heard of it and never had it. So, it's pretty cool.
You made spicy, like, mole chocolate sauce for me once, right?
Yeah.
For a burrito?
Yeah. We made each other burritos for one of our anniversaries or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll make this. But, like, I couldn't taste it because, like, everything is too spicy to me.
She doesn't like spicy
And then
food,
I ended up just making the spiciest sauce, and you were like...
Yeah, and I'm like, it's so good. Happy anniversary. Okay, but yeah, so going back to this bit of news, Hormel is, they're taking those ghost peppers that are just, like, mouth-destroyingly spicy. They're putting them into their new canned chili, which is cool, I guess. Like, I'm sorry I sound a little skeptical, but, like, it's canned chili. Like, nobody really gives too much of a shit about canned chili. Like, do they? Like, I mean, you said that, like, your grandmother gave you, like, the canned chili, but, like, is that because it's for the Cincinnati Chili?
Yeah, just for the Cincinnati Chili part, since you can't find it anywhere. But otherwise, fuck it.
Yeah, like, I imagine that's probably, like, sinful down there. Like, you get drawn and quartered.
Pretty much.
Yeah, like, to be fair, I know a lot of people, like, they probably use, like, I know some people use canned chili as, like, a starter for, like, chili. But, like, I don't know. I guess it could come in handy, like, if you're, like, making from scratch and you just, you want, like, ghost peppers to just add that little bit of zing to your chili to make people's rectums bleed exactly 9 hours after they eat it.
It just went on sale on Target a few weeks ago, and it seems like it's a limited edition, but like all limited edition things, like if it's popular enough, I'm sure they'll bring it back.
Yeah.
I mean, like, honestly, I don't have that much of a problem with canned chili. Like,
sorry.
It's not gonna be as good as homemade, but you don't expect it to be. It's just, I don't know. I used to use it as like a quick, like, lunch, because my mom would usually have some on hand, so when I was living at my parents' house, like, I would eat it a couple times a year, just Be like, oh, it's cold out. I want something nice and hearty, but I'm not going to make chili from scratch. So I'll crack open this can. And I would always have the one with beans. Take that, anti-beanites.
Shots fired. Yeah, so, and then interestingly, it's funny because, like, unlike a lot of foods, chili has actually remained pretty damn simple and it hasn't changed a lot since its inception. Most recipes for it, like, they taste pretty similar. Like, there's not a lot of experimenting with it. Like, I guess could sort of be, like, attributed to its, like, basically sacred nature down in Texas. So, like, to do something trendy and stupid, like, dehydrated and then, like, serve it in ramekins as, like, a powder, like, that would be, like, blasphemy. Like, he'd probably get chased out of town.
Probably.
One more modern variation we do see on occasion is the concept of serving chili with a layer of cornbread baked on top of it. Like, we've made it a couple times. It's good. It's a fun twist.
It's pretty good. Have you ever, like, seen that down there? Like, cornbread on top?
No, it's always separate. I don't know if people would think it's sacred to just keep it separate or something, but no, I've never had it. I've seen it, like, on top. It's crazy.
Yeah, basically you just cook the chili like normally in like a Dutch oven or something that can also, like, a pan that can go in the oven. And you make cornbread batter and pour it over the top of the chili, and then you stick it in the oven until the cornbread's baked. And it comes out, it's kind of like a pot pie, but like with cornbread on top and chili underneath. It's yummy.
Yeah, we, like we mentioned, we had the chili contest here in Patchogue, New York, and that bake shop we mentioned that tied for first, their entry was, like, that's what they do. They make a big cornbread pot pie using it. So what they did was, like you mentioned, they made little itty bitty like chili cups with like a little bit of cornbread on top. It was adorable. And I mean, sometimes you also see like people serve chili con carne in tacos, which I don't know how to feel about that. It sounds good, but like you're from Texas. What, is that allowed or no?
Absolutely 100% not allowed.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I'm glad we knew. I'm glad we know. Like, we don't have to worry.
No way.
Yeah, I mean, because chili is Tex-Mex and tacos are, well, they're just Mex. But Mexico doesn't seem to have much of a soft spot for chili. They don't eat it. Like, according to most of the research we saw, they basically shit talking it. But I don't know. I guess if like Mexicans were putting chili like on their tacos, it'd be like reverse cultural appropriation. I don't know, some dumb bullshit. Who knows?
A variation we didn't really mention at all today because we haven't really like seen it much before we start this episode is chili verde or green chili. But honestly, it doesn't even really sound like it should be allowed to be called chili since it's made with pureed green chili peppers and salsa verde.
What about, so is that something is that common down there in Texas? Salsa or like chili verde? Or
no, not really. Actually, no, I've seen it here and there, but no, it's not
common. Yeah, so that's weird. I don't know where that came from. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, it sounds pretty good. Like, it almost looks and sounds kind of like a Tex-Mex, kind of like curry almost. Like it, but it features big chunks of pork instead of chopped meat. It's like thinner, watery looking compared to like, thick, hearty chili con carne that we all like think about. And as we mentioned earlier, there's also Cincinnati Chili, which, honestly, I'm surprised that Cincinnati Chili is not a thing from here in New York, because like the concept of throwing chili onto a bunch of spaghetti absolutely sounds like some cavone in New York would do.
I'm surprised. I don't know. It just made its way to Texas, and I've only really seen it, like, I kind of base it on how sprawled out Skyline Chili is. It's, of course, in Ohio where it's based, and then it kind of spreads around to Indiana, and I think there's some in Tennessee, but it's just like that one little section right there. You have to be a Hoosier or Ohioan, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So I guess it's like it made its way down there. That's really cool. I mean, speaking of New York shit, there is one last thing I need to bring up that my family did that I think is actually like really wrong, but like I wasn't sure as a kid. I never spoke up about it. My mom serves her chili when she makes it. She serves it over white rice. Is that a thing?
Yes, but I've only seen that a couple times. Like, no.
Yeah,
no.
I don't, because like
no.
It's even weirder because my parents don't really like rice that much. So for them to bust out white rice like it was a special occasion, like we're making chili tonight, and I was just like, okay, I'm 7. I don't know.
Yeah, just eat it. No,
Yeah, like-
I'm not big on white rice to begin with, so I don't know. Mixing those two things together.
Yeah, I hadn't seen anyone do that before we started dating either. And like I have Midwest heritage, and like we're known for mushing together foods that don't really go together. So I don't know where that came from.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll have to ask her about it sometime. Just be like, where did you get that shit from? And I don't know, like that is how my mother and I interact together. Again, my mother was born and raised in Brooklyn, and I am her son, so that's how we talk.
Curse at each other.
Yeah, we curse at each other. That's the true New York relationship between a mother and her son, and that is beautiful. Oh man, any closing thoughts on like modern day Chile as a whole, whatever? Anyone have any final thoughts?
Well, I sure as hell learned quite a bit today about chili. It's making me hungry, actually. I think right after this, I'm going to throw this in the pot.
Nice.
Good old Skyline.
We just had
'Cause I haven't
chili,
had it.
didn't we? Or yeah, you made pumpkin chili or something,
Yeah,
right?
a couple weeks ago.
We have a lot of pumpkin puree sitting around because
Because it's fall.
yeah, it's fall, and like stupidly, a lot of stores around here they'll start stocking pumpkin puree, like canned pumpkin, only like in September and October and November, and then after that it's like, nope, pumpkin doesn't exist anymore, you can't get it.
Or it's more expensive.
Yeah, so we stock up, and now we stocked up too much, but it was good. It tasted like chili. You couldn't really taste the pumpkin.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I guess with that should about cover it for today's main course. Hope you guys saved room as always for some dessert. Oh, yeah, this is fun. I like this. I'm glad we had you on, Patrick. This has been fun doing, getting a guest in.
Yeah, it's fun.
Well, I appreciate being your first one. It's fun. I've been watching them, of course. I've been following them, so it's cool to actually appear on one. So, yeah, thanks again.
No prob. I mean, we had to. We're doing chili. You're the only person that... No, never mind. I was about to say you're the only person we know who lives in Texas, but she is just family
Yeah, I have
in
family.
Texas. Never mind.
We were literally doing a Google Duo call with them on Thanksgiving.
Censor that out. Never mind. I never said that. But, yeah, so this is the dessert section. So all of our fans know that this means fun and games and wacky dumb shit. But today we've got a new addition for dessert. Today we're going to play a game called Pokemon or Medicine. I'm really excited. Pokemon or Medicine is a game that I thought up a long time ago, before I even started doing stand-up comedy. And I never really had a place to try it out. So, I thought about trying to start up, local trivia nights here in, Patchogue and, using it there. We've got a lot of cafes and bars and shit. But I never really got the opportunity to do so. So it's just been sitting in my head for, 5 years, driving me crazy. But the time has finally come. So, basically, everybody likes Pokemon. Everybody likes medicine. Both come in countless varieties and cool names, and as such, trying to distinguish between the two of them is a lot harder than you might imagine. So now, me and Meg are both certified Pokemon masters, so we can't really participate, but anytime we get a guest like Patrick on, we're going to quiz them just for funsies, so let's give it a whirl here.
I also watch too much television, so I hear all the medicine ads
That's
on TV.
true, yeah.
I'm qualified in both.
Yeah, I'm a Pokemon master, you're a pharmaceutical master. So we're cheating here, but yeah, so basically, the way that this is going to work is I'm going to read out a name, and Patrick here, you're going to guess whether it is a Pokemon or a medicine. I'll tell you how you did, and we're going to, we got a big chunk of them. We'll see how long it takes, but let's start off. Are you ready to get challenged?
Yeah, I'm going to suck at this. I only beat Red when I was 8. And I haven't ever played anymore. I mean, I know a couple from Smash Brothers and Pokemon Snap, but that was still back in the Red days, so I don't know. I'm going to give it a shot.
Let's see how we do. So, all right. Number 1, Geodon.
Geodon. That must be some relation to Geodude. I'm going to say that's Pokemon.
Oh. Unfortunately, no. I got to
What?
the curveball in the beginning. Geodon, no. I threw that in and I fooled you because Geodon is actually... Oh, I lost my place here because the stupid Google Docs. Geodon also is... Zibrasidone is an antipsychotic medication, and it works by changing the effects of chemicals in the brain. It's used to treat bipolar disorder.
That could be a Pokemon too. It's psychic type.
Yeah, sure.
I wonder if they look at medicine names like, can we change this and make this into a Pokemon name?
I don't know why it's called Geodon. Like, a lot of times with medicine names, you can tell where they're going. Like, I don't know. They'll, like, use, like, a scientific word that kind of sounds like what it does and just change. But this is just, like, it's an antipsychotic for bipolar, and it's called Geodon.
Jeez.
All right, number 2, we have Yveltal.
That's gotta be a fucking medicine.
Oh, no.
Oh, get the fuck out.
No,
It's a Pokemon?
Yveltal it's actually a legendary Pokemon. It's from Pokemon X and Y. It's a big red bird that kind of an asshole. When it sleeps in an egg, and like every 1,000 years or something, it wakes up and everything dies that's near it. So yeah, fuck that
Shit.
Pokemon. All right, number 3, Ariados.
That's gotta be Pokemon.
Correct. Ding, ding, ding.
Ah,
Yeah.
at least got one.
Ariados is it's actually it's from Pokemon Gold and Silver. It's one of the earlier ones. It's a little spider guy. He's poison and bug, and I like it. He's an early Pokemon. Like I don't know. I thought that one was like that one's like Arachnid, Ariados, and I don't know, Dos is 2.
Ah, there we go.
Yeah, so flex that brain. Next up, number 4, we have Trintellix.
Trintellix. It sounds like some depression medicine. I'm gonna call that a medicine.
You'd be correct. Yeah. Trintellix, also known as vortioxetine, is a prescription medication that also affects chemicals in the brain that may be imbalanced. It's an antidepressant used to treat major depressive disorder.
Hey!
So you called it. You got that one. You were spot on. You got that it was a medicine, and also that it was a psychotic one.
Anything that onyx with ix just has to be, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good point. Although I'm curious if there's any Pokemon that ended. No, yeah, there's Onyx. Who could fucking never mind.
Yeah, there you go.
Fucking the first one. All right. Next up, we have number 5, Xurkitree.
Xurkitree, that sounds like circuitry. It's got to be an electric Pokemon. Come on.
Ding ding. Good job, man. You're on a roll now. That's 3 in a row. Yeah, Xurkitree,
yeah.
which is spelled with an X to make it just annoying. Xurkitree, yeah, it's an electric Pokemon. It's from Pokemon Sun and Moon. It's like a weird cabled man. It's like a bunch of cables, like it's shaped like a dude, and it's got like electric shooting out of where it's headed. It's kind of creepy. They made these new variation of Pokemon like a few years ago called Ultra Beasts that are just like these like basically the Pokemon version of like Eldritch Abominations or something. So, but yeah, and he's electric, so you got that too. So next up we have number 6, Lunala.
Lunala. Ooh. That's okay. I'm gonna go with my gut and call that medicine.
Ah, you fell
Damn
for
it.
Lunala. Lunala is another Pokemon from Sun and Moon, which it's like a bat. It was like the mascot Pokemon of Pokemon Moon version. It's a bat thing that like when it raises its wings, it looks like a moon. And
Fuck, I should have got that with it being Lunala, lunar, moon. I mean, damn it.
Who could have, you know, I don't know. As we're coming to realize here, it's not as easy as you think. That's why we started doing this. I mean, it's funny because when I was researching medicines to put into this, a lot of people, when I was like typing in like stupid pharmaceutical names, a lot of comments on the articles were like, a lot of these sound like Pokemon names. I was like, yeah, okay. Next up, we have number 7, Lunesta.
Lunesta is definitely a medicine.
Correct. Lunesta is definitely, yeah. Lunesta Ezopiclone is a sedative drug and also a hypnotic. It affects chemicals in the brain that maybe blah blah blah. It's used to treat people with sleep problems and insomnia. So,
Surprised you haven't had.
yeah, I could use some of that.
I have seen the commercials for that at least, so that's what I'm for sure on.
Honestly, you could flip flop those Lunala and Lunesta, like, and it would just no one would know the difference.
Yeah.
Next up, number 8, we have Larvesta.
Larvesta, well, that's got to be a larva-type Pokemon.
That is correct. Larvesta. See, dude, you like, we should have been keeping track to find out how many you got right. Larvesta, yeah, Larvesta is, it's like a big old caterpillar man, or a caterpillar guy. He's a fire-type bug. He's like a silk moth, I think, actually, but he evolves into like this big moth with like sun wings. But yeah, his Pokédex entry is when he's battling Pokemon, he sprays fire from its horns. The max temperature of the flames can reach nearly 5,500 degrees Fahrenheit. Jesus!
Oh shit!
That's dangerous. That's from a caterpillar too. So, motherfuck. Number 9, we have Flomax.
Okay, off the bat, that sounds like constipation medicine or something. Okay, it's got to be medicine. Let's try medicine.
Medicine would be correct. See, dude, you're on a roll. Flomax, also known as tamsulicin, is an alpha blocker that relaxes the muscles in the prostate and bladder.
Oh.
Which makes it easier to urinate. It's used to improve urinary function in men with benign prostate hyperplasia.
I was close.
Same thing. It's just constipated in your, like, pee.
Bladder.
Yeah, your pee
There you go.
There you go.
Exactly.
And then we have, we'll do 6 more of these. So number 10, we have Ozempic.
Ooh. That sounds Pokemonish. Yeah.
Ozempic is a medicine.
Fuck.
The streak ends. Ozempic, which is also known as semaglutide, is a hormone that occurs naturally or similar to a hormone in the body that helps control blood sugar. It's a diabetes medicine. That's all you need to know. It's a diabetes drug. I feel like half the like medication commercials on TV are for like diabetes.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Diabetes sucks.
Listeners,
listeners, never get diabetes. Listeners, it'll fuck you up. And
rest in peace, Wilford Brimley.
Yeah, good old Wilford. He died, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, just recently.
Rest in peace, my dude.
Yeah.
All right. You know what? Let's do. Yeah. Okay. Number 11, Xeljanz.
Xeljanz. Ooh. Pokemon.
Oh, gotcha again.
Damn it.
Xeljanz, which another one that's really freaking hard. It's spelled Xeljanz. Xeljanz is I don't actually have Xeljanz looked up here. Xeljanz. I lost my Xeljan notes. Let's see.
Ooh, just clunk Charlie.
Just clunk Charlie in the face. This is some good friggin' good radio here. Xeljanz is this is Renflexus. You know what? Xeljanz is a drug, and we'll leave it at that.
Everyone can figure it out.
Everyone can figure it out. I lost my notes for it. Number 12 is Taltz.
Taltz. Fucking okay. I'm gonna stick with my guns here. The last couple. Say Pokemon.
Oh, again!
Oh no!
Taltz. Taltz is also known as. Jeez, these fucking drug names. Taltz is known as Execizumab is an immunosuppressant, reduces the effects of inflammation. It treats psoriasis, so it treats like dry, scaly skin.
Maybe I should get this.
Nice.
13 is Routes.
Routes. Fuck. Pokemon.
Yes, you're back, dude.
Routes.
Right. I think Routes and Taltz might have actually been the thing that inspired me to start this game. Routes is a little, like, psychic guy with, like, green hair covering its face. It's got little horns. From
That was a
Pokemon
helmet.
Ruby and Sapphire. I don't know if it's a helmet or whatever, but yeah, it's a little psychic fairy dude. But yeah, so we're back in good territory. So number 14, we got 2 left. 14, LGM.
LGM. How is that spelled?
ELGYEM. LGM.
LGM. Okay. Let's go with medicine.
Oh no, we tricked you again. LGM is a Pokemon. It's from Black and White, Pokemon Black and White. It's a little alien. Yeah, he's an alien based on like the acronym LGM, like Little Green Man. You little psychic alien dude.
Damn it.
He's fun because he actually evolves into like another alien guy who's like wearing a trench coat and a hat. He's supposed to look like he's wearing a disguise. Named Behem. I like those guys. They're cool. And we're on the last one, number 15, Altaria.
Altaria. God, like every single name, I just imagine Humera, whatever that. So I think, okay, it's got to be. It sounds medicine-y, but say it again.
Altaria. Altari. Altaria.
Altaria. Fuck, that sounds Pokemonish, but I'm gonna say medicine.
Oh no! You should.
Nah, I knew it was. It sounded too like fucking dreamy and shit. Altaria.
Should have stuck
to
with
be
Pokemon.
a medicine. I should have known.
Altaria is a bird that's like covered in clouds. It's like a blue bird that has like all its body is covered in clouds and it's got cloud wings. Yeah, it's a fluffy fucking bird. And weirdly, it's dragon type. I don't know.
Fuck, I think I was on the low end there. I think I got less than half.
I think you probably got 50 out of 50. Like I said, we're idiots. We should have been keeping track of this.
Tally it when you do it.
Yeah, we'll tally it up in the
score
notes.
on the video.
Here it is. Your score is right here. It's on the screen. Ding, ding, ding.
Hey, if you ever do Mario trivia in the future, then fucking I'm your dude
You'll
for that.
ace that. We'll have to. There's a lot of Mario characters out there that are just like weird that no one's ever heard of. So like that might be fun for viewers. So we'll have to try that again. Oh man. So with that, peeps, I think we're all set here. Check, please. So that is it for this week's edition of Poor Couples Food Guide Deep Dish Podcast. Remember, we are in fact the only podcast left where you're more likely to learn about cereal than serial killers.
Search recipes, cooking tips, and other cool stuff on our website, poorcouplesfoodguide.com. And don't forget, you can always write into us at mail@poorcouplesfoodguide.com to ask for any food advice you may need.
You can also send in any comments, feedback, criticism, hate mail, love mail, chain letters, postcards, and whatever random ponderings should cross your mind. Once again, that's mail@poorcouplesfoodguide.com. Or if you like, you can hit us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram as well.
While you're at it, try and give us some ratings and reviews on whatever platform you're using. It really helps us gain exposure, which is great while we're trying to help Deep Dish's audience grow. Or if you're on YouTube, please give us a like. If you haven't, smash that subscribe button to pieces.
Also, if you could, go to ratethispodcast.com/deepdish, and from there you can just review us on multiple platforms at once. We just figured that out.
Yeah.
So, big shout out and big thank you to Patrick here. We really appreciate you coming on, dude.
Absolutely. I'm glad I was here for this.
Yeah, it's a ton of fun, and we all learned a lot about chili.
Yeah.
So, maybe you can take that to your friends and family and tell them, now, did you know the history of chili, the true history of chili?
I'm full of facts now.
Yeah, well, anyway, until next week, next week we'll be going into the holidays, and for next episode we'll probably be focusing on holiday dishes, so we haven't decided yet, but you can expect a Christmas-themed episode. So until then, we bid you a good day and good eat, so stay hungry and keep feeding that brain.
And tummy!
Wait, is that sync clap gonna work for us too, though?
Yeah, fuck.